well,
Depends on
closer to the
where
city center.
it is.
City center apartments. They're trying to be close walking distance.
Well, we'll probably all have the same kind of businesses, you know, some kind of walkable with recreational opportunities. I said, bring transit out here.
That's mass transit.
Yeah. Sam's got all those. The one thing, yeah.
That's what I'm going to ask everybody to do now, because I recognize that we have been talking about various populations.
I agree.
So I'm going to ask, we'll go around the tables and I'll ask you to just pick one population that you had a discussion about. And if you could give a little description of the population, the type of amenities that population would benefit from, and the type of housing you think that they might be able to serve them. And then we'll just keep going around until we've covered all the populations. So, number 3.
One quick note.
Yeah.
Oh, we were bopping around.
You were bopping.
We were thinking.
Well, you'll get a chance to do all of them.
Do you want to say something?
Just start with one.
Quick note to speak up too, because we're recording this portion, reporting out, we're recording
Okay.
for YouTube, so. Speak
Just
up.
start with somebody else. Sure. Who wants to go first?
Choose a bad chair.
Okay.
So we said households $50,000 a year. Households $50,000 a year or less. Independent, and the next would be what kind of housing. So independent living for seniors that would like to downsize, such as multi-units or condos or apartments. Inclusionary housing, so a mix of all incomes in that housing, not just lower level income or higher level income, but all income levels would be supported by these apartments, 4 units, townhouses and condos. And for amenities, parks, public transportation, stores within walkability distances. That's it. I'm sorry? Public transportation and medical care.
So, medical care within proximity to walking.
Within walking, yes.
Okay. Any questions for group 3? Group 4? Okay. This one, was it public transportation?
Yeah. Public transportation.
Okay. You guys want to take a shot?
Sure, we spent most of our time talking about population groups for Eversource, but we didn't really reach the housing part very much. But the one that we started really talking about was the over 65-year-old in age. And then kind of looking at, there's the ones that are rich, the ones who are just getting by versus the ones who are alone or widowed. And so then, we were talking about affordable condos, which we defined as between 200 and 300,000. And then we were just starting to discuss, is it for everyone? Is it over 55 plus? Would that help? Or, and then we want to be inclusive and create a community. So that's kind of where we were at.
Give me the price range again.
200 to 300.
Okay, how about you guys?
Well, you were saying.
We focused a lot on first-time home buyers, particularly in the range of 25 to 35 especially. We suggested some smaller starter homes under $300,000, perhaps a Habitat for Humanity neighborhood if we feel the need is there. And for some amenities, we suggested parks, mass transit, schools, walkability, recreational opportunities, and potentially a grocery store.
Okay, run through your list of amenities again.
Parks, mass transit, schools, walkability, recreational opportunities, and grocery.
Okay.
One of the things that we talked about, just to add to that, is we talked about the work here, live here thing. So we talked about some type of opportunity for housing where people are gonna work here, like, in the business park, that they're gonna be able to live here rather than have to come from the north side of Madison. And so you might have some kind of workforce housing or housing that's close to that, and then it carried through the transit or something like that as well. So anyway, that was just that one element that we touched on too.
Okay.
Thanks, Ann.
So you've noticed the similarities in needs between workers and first-time home buyers and such.
Absolutely.
But you were talking mostly single-family homes.
Well, we had all kinds of different things, but I think we just Sam was probably rounding it up to move on to the next group.
Oh, okay. Next group.
We focused on low and middle income. And actually, for low income, we looked at apartments and the amenities being mass transit and walkability, lower utility rates by trying alternative fuel sources, solar and stuff. And then for middle income, starter homes, and that really is sometimes seniors can move into a smaller home if they want to stay at home. An idea that I think has a lot of promise is apartment buildings with mixed rentals and mixed ages, or I kind of like the idea of a neighborhood that has mixed ages, mixed income.
Mixed home sizes.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some grants available to try to develop a plan like that. But I think that would really enhance Waunakee if we had neighborhoods where, you know, all the income levels were living together. Right now, we do have kind of a problem with it being pinpointed in certain places, and that's no good for anyone. Anything else in this?
I don't think so. I think many of the things that the other groups said we also talked about. And so it's just, you know, a slightly different take on things. But
Well, we talked about schools. Yeah. You know, there's families that want to be here because they want their kids to be in our school district, and low crime and such. And sometimes they have to, you know, make decisions as to what type of place they're going to be able to afford. And because they want those amenities. So wanting amenities and what you can afford are kind of two different things. So
we also talked about affordability, and again, that whole issue of definition of affordability. And I think we all kind of agreed that if there is a variety of everything, everyone makes their own affordability and makes their own choice. We can't really define affordability. Everyone has to do that for themselves. But they've got to have a variety of choices. And the houses can't all be $800,000, $800,000. That's not a choice.
So that's a concept I think that I've heard in a couple of groups of mixed income housing developments. I'm going to give another round, chance for another round, because I said just pick one.
Thanks.
Go to this group. Any other population?
No, we didn't talk about anything else, didn't get that far.
Okay. Because,
Yeah.
We talked about population groups, but we didn't get to the housing amenities, so.
that's okay. Go ahead.
Do you want me to
Yep.
list our population groups
Yeah.
that we thought are necessary?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we had the 20 to 30-year-olds who are high debt or out of college or just starting on their own. We had the over 65, like we said last time. We had the under 34,000 a year. We had those families with a member who has a disability. Low to medium income, but we didn't define what that was. Single worker, single parent, or single income, and then multi-generational.
Single family, did you say single? Oh, we might as well just put that up.
There you go.
Okay.
Stick it on there. Add it to your thing.
We'll put it up there.
Yes.
Any more on this one?
We had diverse populations, elderly people, and low-income populations.
Okay. And we've talked about elderly. Can you tell us a little bit about the conversation you had about diverse populations.
Well, we talked about having some more affordable multifamily complexes, going back to the multifamily or the Habitat for Humanity single-family developments, perhaps some affordable elderly condos for those diverse populations under the $200,000 to $300,000 range.
I see a number of different housing options. And I'm going to say, we put the habitat idea out there. This is just recording it so everyone can see the different ideas that have come out.
I think the workforce housing kind of ties into ethnicity, and then Sam raised that, so one of the things that at least that I wrote down as an amenity is, I don't know that we do anything to encourage like ethnic celebrations or.
I'll say it. Because I said it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not enough, racial, ethnic diversity because, our whole workforce is, white. And I'm pretty sure, I kind of hoped we'd had the speaker on racial demographics already, but I mean, I've looked at the numbers from what I can see, working in lending, and Waunakee is overwhelmingly one race, and that would be white, and even our ethnicities that do live here, there are certain ethnicities that only live in certain parts of Waunakee and don't live in other parts of Waunakee. There's some that only live near the city center, and there are 0 of the same ethnicity, just one census tract over, which in this area is just a few streets. So.
Okay. So I used a shorthand. Tell me if this kind of captures it. Can the community welcome diversity in some way? And that's, what do you need to do to make it a community that feels like a good place to live if you're coming from a racial or ethnic or cultural, religious minority, right? Okay, and we're going to have a chance to talk about that. Did you guys have any others that you wanted to talk about?
Waunakee is a wonderful place for families, and yet a lot of our young families are priced out of this, and specifically looking at housing, moderate priced housing that is geared towards families. And I go back to that idea of having a mixed area with but have it moderate and low income housing. I think that would, unless the developer wants to throw in some high income housing too, but it's just kind of a shame that some of these big new neighborhoods have no availability for moderate. Beautiful neighborhoods, swimming pools, parks,
and so you're adding another component of these beautiful neighborhoods that
and they're shut out, right?
Yeah.
Even our kids can't afford to.
I agree with what they said, is if we have different types of housing at different price ranges and people have choices, they will find what they need, because a senior citizen who is independent may want to live where there's all kinds of family units, not just senior citizens. Another senior citizen may want to live in a senior citizen community. We should have a community where people can make those choices.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one more thought, transportation, if you're going to be working in Madison and you have a moderate income, say you're a single mom teacher, that kind of thing. The transportation really keeps them out of Waunakee.
Right.
If they don't have cars.
So this conversation has come up a number of times, of the interrelationship of housing, transportation, and economic development and jobs. And it's very much a regional issue, right? So let's keep talking about it. But with the focus, of course, being on housing. So we put all of this up here so that you can refer back to it during the next conversation. And we're going to do this one a little bit differently, which is you get to choose where you're going to go. And each table is going to really drill down and go into detail for a particular population, a particular group of people we want in the community who are not being well served yet in the community, and giving more detail on how do you make sure that housing developments are available for this a diversity of housing stock in order to accommodate a diversity of people in different situations. So I think I anticipated some of these that were mentioned, but not all of them. And what I'm going to need is somebody to volunteer to be the host of each table. So for instance, I'll just give an example. The senior housing for seniors has come up a number of times, right? And we've heard mixed developments would be one way for seniors. Others is senior housing that can accommodate aging needs. Really get into detail on that. We've heard about young starter families. I think that's not the right term, but young families just trying to start off.
Right.
Yeah, start homes. We've heard about single parents and those on fixed incomes. We've heard about workforce. So I'm going to ask, is there anyone who's really wants to really delve into a certain group, wants to be the host of a certain table?
Young families?
Young families, okay. So let's see if I have a category. Here we go. Breakout for young families, and what I've done is give you a couple questions that you could start with, but you don't need to follow those questions. And then we'll have people find their table. Neela's going to host young families, and she'll be right there. Okay.
And you consider young families with children, but one thing, we talked about the couples that are newly married out of school.
Yep.
Might want to live here.
That's going to be yours then, right?
Yes, yes.
It says young adult single, but
Oh, is that what you're
that's
calling it?
not
Okay.
the right term. It should be
Okay.
young adults single and couples, but no kids.
No, yeah.
Okay, so that will be Erin.
Ellen and Aaron will be there.
Ellen and Erin are going to host that table discussion. Seniors, anyone wants to host a
That's the
conversation
party
about
table.
seniors? No? Okay, this is a go where you are motivated to go. How about limited income?
We already have one at our table.
You want to host seniors?
Sure.
Okay, you have to find another table. There's a whole lot of pieces of paper in these stacks. That's a photocopying error. So just you don't need this many. We had a conversation, Robert brought up the issue of racial and ethnic diversity,
Sorry,
and
you
we've
did that.
collapsed that into
And I have to
community,
leave or I help
character, and
you.
diversity. So does anyone want to host a okay.
We'll do it.
Wow.
I open my mouth, I'll do it.
Okay.
I don't, I'm a lady without a table.
There is no host at this table if you want to join.
You can use, okay, so, not Susan. Susan is hosting this table here, which is on seniors. Does anyone want to host a table that is specific to limited income workforce, or do you feel that that's in there already? Well, limited income workforce, and Jeff, where do you want to be? Because the back table. Yep, there's 5. All right, so what you get to do now is go to whatever table you would like to have a more in-depth conversation about.
So when I was thinking about diversity, I think there was